Hello. Um, Dobro jutro.
Good morning.
And this is all my Serbian until now. But I'm trying to learn something. And welcome everyone. I'm so happy to be here with Andrej. We are both developers advocate at Chainlink Labs. We joined almost together. And it is a big pleasure to be with him here in the stage. And like Bogdan talked, it was so inspiring. So it's interesting after talk more about this revolution, and like I came into blockchain exactly because I think the blockchain will change the world. And in this moment, like to talk about how we connect the real world with the blockchain, I think it's a perfect moment. So this is me. My name is Solange Gueiros. I'm developer advocate at Chainlink Labs, and the people call me Sol. It's easy for you. And?
Yeah, and my name is Andrej. I'm from Belgrade. You can see my Twitter lens handles listed over there. And as Sol said, I'm also developer advocate at Chainlink Labs.
Yoo-hoo!
Thank you.
And this. Let's talk a bit about Oracle fundamentals. First of all, I have some QR codes in the middle if you'd like to get one. This is for the beginners, okay? It's the fundamentals of blockchain and Chainlink. Okay, and at the end, I will share the presentation with you. Don't worry if you lost some QR code. And is this, are there limitations in the smart contracts? What do you think, Andrej? Yes?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, and what is the limitations? Like when we try to get some information from the external world, like let's try to get an API and use this information inside your contract. When the nodes, when the validators try to get this information, they can receive different values. Exactly because this information is not on blockchain and can be changed even if it's 1 second in difference. Because the external world is not deterministic, so we cannot have the same information from an external source. Because of this, we used to say that it's so hard to connect all the financial systems and all the like other information that that are not in blockchain yet, and use this in our smart contracts. But the solution for this is the blockchain oracles. And what is a blockchain oracle? We can say that it's any external data source or resource like weather, like sports data, like how many steps I'm doing every day, and I can use this in a contract to prove what I'm doing, for example, and a lot of financial information like oracles are so important for DeFi, for example. But when we talk about oracles, we cannot talk about centralized oracles because all of this is related to decentralization. This is part of our revolution. And if you have a centralized oracle, you are again trusting in a central part, and maybe this information can be manipulated. The solution are the decentralized oracle, and we used to say DONs, decentralized oracle networks, because this is a network of nodes that's getting some information for you and have a consensus and validating this information to send to you. And this is Chainlink. Chainlink, it's a blockchain, not only one, but some groups of blockchain oracle networks for different purposes. And it's interesting because we have Chainlink is not a blockchain. Chainlink it's a set of services that are deployed in different blockchains. And for example, I will talk a bit more of each of these later, but we have market and data feed, so important for DeFi. We have proof of reserve exactly to prove some reserve. And for example, this is the same. And we have automation to automate smart contracts and VRF to generate random numbers. We are talking a bit more about each of these. But first of all, I'd like to, Andrej, you talk about one of the most important services that we launched recently in February. And this is Chainlink functions.
Yeah, so as Sol said, Chainlink is a decentralized Oracle protocol. It's not a blockchain. It's like a middleware layer which connects your smart contracts with external data and computation. And you can imagine Chainlink as like AWS for Web3 because it has multiple services. And we're going to briefly talk about all of those. The latest one is actually Chainlink Functions. So we launched this at Denver, during ETH Denver. And the product is still in beta, which means it's only available in testnets, and you will need to sign up, but like the whitelist form is pretty simple. But in a sense, Chainlink Functions will give us a way to execute any code we want and get decentralized and verifiable consensus on a result. At the moment, for beta, only vanilla JavaScript code can be used, but you get the point. Like, we'll add more languages, and then you will have the ability to outsource some complex computation from Solidity to Chainlink for a fixed price. So how this thing works. So imagine that you want to create some complex DeFi protocol which involves some heavy mathematics, like Solidity. Maybe it's not the best language for that. But what you can do is you can actually use Chainlink Functions, and then you can paste as a Solidity function argument your JavaScript code, which will be executed by each single node in the Dawn. And so Dawn stands for Decentralized Oracle Network. So each single node will execute your code, perform some HTTP GET or HTTP POST request. It's totally up to you what your logic will be. And then the nodes will communicate between themselves using peer-to-peer network and make a consensus on the final result, and then provide that final result as a callback to your calling smart contract. So what you need to do is actually to create a function subscription. The price will be fixed and linked, and you can add multiple smart contract consumers that can execute whatever you want, basically. So if you need inspiration about that JavaScript code and what this JavaScript code can be, there's a fancy website called usechainlinkfunctions.com, where you can see examples of connecting your smart contracts with Twitter APIs, Facebook, Instagram, connecting with AWS, connecting with password-protected IoT devices, connected with ChatGPT, etc., etc. So later today at 6 p.m., we're going to have a hands-on workshop on functions. So we're going to literally connect ChatGPT with smart contracts using OpenAI API key. You can register over here. It will be from 6 to 9 at Kulturni Centar Stari Grad. So please join us if you want to see this thing in action, and also bring your laptops. Next up, Chainlink data feeds.
Yes, talking about other services as well. So the data feeds, it's the way that we can get any, especially quotes, but any asset prices to use your smart contract. And this is a mix from centralized and decentralized exchanges. And for example, if you'd like to get the quote from it in USD, we have 31 nodes that is getting this information, different sources, getting the consensus of this, and save this information inside an aggregator that's a smart contract, and then you can use in your own smart contract. It's something like this. This is some nodes aggregating the information. And in the data.chain.link, you can see all the aggregators that we have it. And also, I talked to you before related to proof of reserve. Andrej, do you remember what's happened with FTX?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes, always this is terrible. So exactly, FTX didn't have a proof of reserve. We don't know what they have. The problem is a bit bigger than this, but this is one of the part of the problems. And how this can work? I will explain with an example from Bitcoin. BitGo has the WBTC, the Rapid Bitcoin. This is the representation of Bitcoin in the Ethereum network. So BitGo must have more Bitcoins in the Bitcoin network than they have in WBTCs in the Ethereum network. How can I check this? Proof of reserve, they have implemented the proof of reserve, so they have the amount of Bitcoins in the Bitcoin network. We can get this information inside the Ethereum network. And then in your own application, you can manage this. Hey, if they have now more WBTCs than BTCs, I will stop my application just now. Something like that. You can take care of this in your contracts. And Andrew, you talk about Chainlink automation.
Yeah, so Chainlink automation is a way to automate the execution of your smart contracts. So why first we need Chainlink automation? So smart contracts are passive by nature. So to go from state A to state B, there needs to happen a transaction which will actually write something on chain, write some data, change state, etc. So that's this first sentence is all about. Smart contracts are not self-executing, like they're passive by nature. So imagine that you want to create a yield farming protocol. You have like a bunch of pools, you want to, and then when you have a bunch of pools, you need to call that harvest function on multiple pools during multiple times of the day. So it's really annoying maybe for a dev to like to sit in front of your laptop clicking MetaMask all the time, right? So that's first reason. Second reason, it's not self-sustainable. Yeah, you know, like protocol will need to live by its own. So that's why we have something called Chainlink automation. Next slide. Yeah, so the solution is basically Chainlink automation, which is like decentralized smart contract execution environment, kind of like doing DevOps stuff on blockchain itself. So how this thing works? There's something called upkeeps. So you're gonna create a new automation subscription, and you'll, again, fund it with Link, because everything that nodes in the Dawn are doing, they need to have some incentive for doing that. Like similar in Ethereum, where you have a bunch of nodes and they have like some fee from gas. That's why the nodes in the Dawn needs to have some kind of award in terms of Link tokens, right? And then there's like two options. So the option number one is actually to create time-based automation. That's literally like scheduling a cron job, and that's it. So that means that on every, let's say you created a cron job that will execute your function every first Monday in the month. Then you can, you know, like create a mechanism where you like pay salaries in crypto to your employees, and every first month in the every first Monday in the month, the function will be triggered, right? And you can, you know, like you can tweak those time frames, but you're literally gonna set cron job at our UI, really simple, and then you'll have the complete dashboard saying, okay, these upkeeps happened before, this is the scheduled time for next one, etc. This is how this thing works. So you have like automation nodes on the left, then there is some upkeep contract which communicates with your smart contract on blockchain, and that's pretty much it. So from your point of view, you will just need to create a smart contract, whatever the smart contract is, create a subscription, and that's it. That's for time-based automation. You can go beyond time-based automation and create custom-based automation. With custom-based automation, you're in control of what's happening. So to create a custom-based automation, really simple. So you will need to implement something called automation compatible interface in Solidity. And that interface consists of two functions only. So the first one is check upkeep. And in 99%, it's going to be a view function, meaning it's free for you to consume it on a blockchain. The second one is perform upkeep. So how this custom automation works. On each block, or on each number of blocks, on fixed time interval, depends on the chain. Nodes in the Chainlink Dawn will ping your smart contract calling check upkeep function, saying, do you need something for me? So check upkeep should return true or false. If check upkeep returns false, nothing happens. There is no automation needed. If check upkeep returns true, then the perform upkeep function will be automatically called by Dawn. So if you want to create on-chain trading bot, for example, in check upkeep, you will have like calculation, what's the current price of this pair, I have some hard limit, and if it's above this value, sell it, below, buy it, etc. So it depends on that calculation. Check upkeep will return either true or false, and then in perform upkeep, you're gonna just execute everything. So we'll now talk about randomness.
Yes, before talk about randomness, I'd like to talk a bit about when we are using Link and where not. Like when we was talking about data feeds and proof of reserve, this is a kind of public resources that everyone needs this. So it's not you that is paying to get this information, like you are only paying the gas to carry this. In the opposite way, when we are using automation or VRF or functions, this is like it's your interesting. You would like to have this information. It's important for you. So because of this, then you are paying on link to use this information. And in all of these services, you are paying on link. And for example, in automation that you execute a smart contract later, the gas to execute the smart contract will be converted from link to it to pay the gas. And talking about VRF, so VRF is the verifiable source of randomness, and this is interesting. Why is it so hard to get randomness with smart contracts? First, like I talked in the beginning, blockchain is deterministic. So if you add on-chain the rules to create your random numbers, any validator can see that rule and then can try to manipulate it. Because of this, if you have like the your rule inside the smart contract, inside the blockchain, this is not so good. And if you try to have this outside, it depends how you can do, you must be careful as well. Like I said before, when you are doing this like on-chain, the participants, especially the validators, can control the entries. The Chainlink VRF, it's an external network of nodes that is creating the numbers for you. And then you will receive the number inside your contract and use in the way that you'd like to have it. Talking about this, and I will do a workshop Sunday, midday, no? And my workshop will be using VRF and automation. I will create a raffle. And in this raffle, I will, at the end, give away a ticket to SmartCon, that it's a conference that will happen in Barcelona in October. So be prepared, and you can see how this working in practical way. And before that, do you have a workshop today?
I don't have a workshop, I have a talk at 2:30 p.m.
Oh, he has another talk today.
At stage, yeah.
And about?
About generating the vanity addresses in, for smart contracts on Ethereum.
So nice. And talking more about the VRF. So why we use the VRF? For example, to generate some different NFTs. Would like to generate different color of eyes, or different heads, or different bodies, or different weapons, whatever. You can use VRF to generate this in your NFT collection. Or in a battle, who you won, who you lost, and what's happened with this, which weapon are using, what's the weight of this, something like that. You can get all this information exactly with VRF. For example, put together, use VRF to get the winner, because put together they have a pool that you can put your money, and they will like do some investment with this, and then the profit will be to the winner that is selected by VRF. And this, I think this is the most important slide for you, because this is the presentation. If you'd like to see exactly the other QR codes that are around, you can see it here. I can give this one more minute here. Do you have something to comment, and you can put here?
No, I think we will have a couple of minutes for questions, so if you have some questions, please prepare them so we can answer quickly because of the next talk.
Yeah, and I will ask something to you, and the people can read the QR code. How to be a developer advocate?
Developer advocate is both the best and the worst job ever. Like, the best one is because you're going to travel all around the world, be on various different meetups. We'll be able to try brand new toys for Chainlink and also meet people in person, but that can be really exhausted because of the traveling. Sol is currently on her European tour. She's from Brazil. She's in Europe for weeks, I think, now. So, you know, like, traveling overseas can be exhausted, but it's really worth it.
Yeah, it's like a dream job, like Andrej told. This is my European tour. I started in Barcelona in first week of May, and this is 5 weeks, and I went to 80 cities. All blockchain events, most part Ethereum events. So this is crazy, but I really enjoy this, and I think to teach people and to make a difference for you, how you can learn, how can you be better and be together in the blockchain world and in the Web3 space. It's so amazing, so important to us. And this remember again about the functions at night, exactly after the event. You can go over there and do this workshop and learn a bit more.
Yeah, so we're going to do a hands-on workshop with laptops, and after that we'll have casual drinks and maybe some snacks, so we can, me and Sol with some other bunch of people from Chainlink, you can meet us in person actually.
Yes, do you have any question?
Okay, now it's time for questions. Maybe we have another slide for SmartCon, or we can do that.
Yes. Yes, this is the, oh, you know that we have a hackathon here. It's perfect to start your project here in the hackathon. You will start in 2 days. But after this, if you'd like to continue your project, building new functions, new functionalities, you can go to the Chainlink Online Hackathon that is finishing
June 9, yeah. So we'll have like 7 days, I think, to submit, which is plenty enough time to submit something.
Yeah. And like I told before, I will give away 1 ticket to SmartCon in Barcelona that will happen in October. If you'd like to buy your ticket, if you didn't won in the workshop, you can buy with some discount. And I need to tell you that prepare yourself to not arrive only on 2, arrive in the weekend before, because we are preparing some amazing surprises for you, especially for developers to be all the weekend together.
So book your flight a week before the main conference. Okay, I think that's it. We have some tiny amount of time for questions. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, ask really quickly, and then we are going to give the mic to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, first, second. Yep.
They can do a query, like send a GET request, and they can get a different response. So if it's not something like numbers where they can just do an average and agree on the average, how do they come to consensus on, let's say, different strings or something?
Yeah, so when it comes to randomness, there is a paper called Verifiable Random Function, VRF. It's like I think like 40 pages paper, which explains all the tiny details about how VRF functions. But the essence is that you'll have a smart contract, you'll request a randomness from the dawn. And then there is another smart contract called vrf.sol in the middle. So when the callback comes back from the dawn, that smart contract has like all the cryptographic functions implemented in it in Solidity, which will literally verify that the random is indeed random by all of these parameters from the paper. So the TLDR is that if you request a randomness, which is like transaction number 1, if there is the callback afterwards, that means that that number is truly indeed random. So there is no consensus mechanism for randomness.
Maybe, sorry if I was unclear, I was not asking about the verifiable random function. I was asking like the custom functions where I input my own code and I define the get function.
For functions?
Yeah,
yes.
For
okay, so at the moment, like imagine that there are like 4 nodes, okay in the dawn. So you're gonna send a request. So each of those nodes will execute your code in its own serverless environment, and then report the final result. And then imagine that you have like a HTTP GET request. 3 of those requests were successful, 1 was not. So that means that we have 3 exactly the same responses and 1 failed. So if you're using like median function, that's 3 to 1, that's still a consensus. It will return the call back. If you have 2 responses, 1 is different and 1 failed, that's 2-2, no response because there is no consensus.
Yeah, I get that. But my question was like, when I define the custom function in the custom function, I say that the nodes will have to query, let's say, some database,
Okay.
and the response is not a number, it's, let's say, a string, and when
It
that
will compare
code,
strings, yeah.
Okay, but when that code executes on every node in the
Okay.
Dawn network, when it's their time to run the query, they may get different responses from the database that they queried. Let's say I got a response on the first node, like hello
Gotcha.
Ethereum, the other one said hello Polygon. How did they come to consensus when the response they got was different?
No consensus in
No
this.
consensus,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
The majority of the response needs to be the same. Like
Okay,
3
okay.
to 1, that's a consensus. 2-2, that's not a
Okay,
consensus. Okay.
That's everything. Thanks.
Yeah. So you need to handle that in your code, basically. Yeah. Thank you. Any further questions? We still have
We have time for one question over there.
Yeah. Can we just wait for the mic?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. Are functions replacing external adapters, or are you going to continue to have external adapters?
For now, yes. Functions are like next step for external adapters because they can do everything that external adapters can plus more. So they are still present now, but you know, if you need to have like some HTTP GET requests, just use functions because that's more decentralized way.
Yes, one point related to this, when we, like the external adapter is to get information, but you need like to run a node or to have someone running the node, creating the service, and this is like, it's so many dependence of Chainlink itself. When we start to use functions, you are depending of different nodes getting the same result, but you are more flexible in get any information that's outside. So this is the next step.
Yeah.
It's evolution.
Yeah. Cool. Any more questions? Going once, going twice.
Oh, I think it is. Thank you
Should we
so
end it?
much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. It was really amazing talk, and we're gonna kick off with Andrej Rakic, which is from geometry, and he'll be talking about zero knowledge in 2023. So without further ado, let's welcome Andrej to the stage.